She painfully used her remaining money to buy fried chicken, beer, and a romance novel. The story featured a super-rich male lead, lonely and scarred inside, who, after suffering a major catastrophe, destroyed the world and ultimately destroyed himself. The male lead spent money like water and was incredibly handsome. The novel was quite interesting, but she got drunk reading it. When she woke up, she discovered she had become a minor character in the novel. Amelia Diane, a knight commander who was drowning in debt and utterly destitute, the only daughter of an earl. The one small mercy in this misfortune was that she was quite pretty. Accepting the fact that she had transmigrated into a book, she immediately went to the bank with the Earl and Countess to confirm the debt. Seeing the long bill, the heroine fainted on the spot. She had just finished paying off her student loans, and now, unjustly, she was saddled with another mountain of debt. To pay this off, she would have to work herself to death, doing nothing but breathing and working. Better to just drink. Without alcohol, she feared she couldn't go on. And the story had started with alcohol. After all, she shouldn't have drunk. Not only did she have a headache, but her body ached all over. Could it be that she transmigrated into this novel because of the alcohol? By the way, who did she spend the night with? She seemed to have a vague impression. The heroine fell silent. What she saw on the cover was the crest of the Child Duke's family. In the novel, only one person could possess this crest, Cillian Child. Upon seeing him, the heroine gulped. He affectionately called the heroine sister. She froze in place. This sweet way of addressing her really made her heart flutter. He walked over and asked the heroine if she felt uncomfortable anywhere. She never imagined he had this kind of personality, and his handsome face was dripping with water, which made the heroine blush and her heart race. She put some distance between them, saying she was fine, while thinking to herself, "Wake up, she is Amelia Diane. He is Cillian Child. In the Child family, where only one person can survive. He was the child who survived alone after eliminating four brothers by some means. In the end, he was driven mad by those who were greedy for profit, yet suspicious of him. Afterward, he used funds capable of ruling the world to start a war. She, a mere commoner buried in debt. Not even the heroine, just a minor character. How could she dream of handling him? She said she couldn't remember last night, clearly. It was dawn. She should leave. Unexpectedly, an arm blocked her path. Cillian said it was strange, since Sister kept saying she liked him yesterday. He hugged the heroine tight, saying he liked her too. He even brought up what happened last night, making the heroine's face turn even redder. She pushed Cillian away, telling him not to call her sister anymore. Cillian was confused as to why she had changed after just one night. Wasn't it she who said she wanted to hear it? She had also said 23 was the prime of youth. The heroine thought to herself, I need to quit drinking. 23 is indeed a blossoming age. This man starts a war and heads toward destruction at 25. He meets the heroine and finds redemption around his 26th birthday. That means there are only 2 years left until his destruction. She wanted to leave now. Cillian asked if she was sure yesterday was their first meeting. He wasn't. He asked the heroine if she really remembered nothing from yesterday. The heroine said yes. He walked closer to her and said that was a bit difficult. She wanted to go back without remembering anything, but he remembered everything clearly. The heroine thought, oh no, he's planning to cling to me. To avoid retaliation, the heroine confessed she had something important to tell him. Once she said this, he would surely be disgusted with her. She said she approached him for his money. The air suddenly went quiet. The heroine was already trembling with fear. Would she be destroyed ahead of schedule? But Cillian calmly asked, so what did that have to do with her running away? The heroine said she approached him because he was a child. Cillian said he knew, seeing that he didn't seem to understand. The heroine said she was after his money. Her cape fell off. Cillian smiled and said, it just so happens I have a lot of money. Did she mean she liked him super much? The heroine was truly embarrassed, covering her face and saying they should put on clothes before talking. Cillian said her clothes had been sent to be washed and told her to wear this for now. In the end, she put it on, feeling even more awkward than wearing nothing. Cillian approached the heroine, saying Sister was truly beautiful. The heroine quickly pushed him away, returning to the previous topic. She had already said she liked money. Why did he have no reaction? He said since she loved money so much, he would have to work harder to earn it. Besides, she was very sexy right now. Then the heroine was pushed down. Besides money, he also remembered she liked his body and face. The heroine turned beet red at this point. She just put clothes on. Why take them off again? She began trying hard to recall what exactly happened yesterday. At that time, she was already drunk. Someone walked up to her and politely asked if he could sit there. She very happily agreed. Her memory reached this point. Why would the Duke be all alone in that shabby tavern? And dressed like that? In the original work, the male lead Celian went to a tavern for the first time in his life on that day. That day was the anniversary of his brother's deaths. He had resolved to jump off a cliff. He told the heroine to take responsibility for him. After all, she was the one who brought him to the tavern, and she even asked passersby for directions. Then she tackled him, and then it happened like this. The heroine hurriedly pushed him away, saying, "Wait." The heroine put on her clothes, saying this kind of thing should be done with someone you like. Celian's face suddenly brightened. He said, "Is sister saying she loves him in a roundabout way? Didn't she say this is something to be done with a beloved person? And yesterday, she was the one who tackled him first. So sister loves him." The heroine told him not to misunderstand. However, she couldn't bear to see Celian look so disappointed. His appearance, weak and unable to care for himself, made her heart soften. With a pitiful look in his eyes, he asked the heroine if it was true. Then he kissed her again. He wanted to seek the heroine's consent before continuing. Dazed, the heroine suddenly jolted awake. The female lead, Vanessa, was about to appear. Afterward, she would become Celian's ex-girlfriend, washing her face with tears in the end. Just as the heroine wanted to refuse, someone barged in. The intruder said, "Young people these days, really, it's checkout time. What are you still doing in there?" The heroine was wrapped in the blanket. Speaking in a bad tone, she asked if he didn't know to knock first. Celian's eyes changed. He called for Harold outside, telling him to handle it. Then the intruder was dragged away. The heroine asked what handle it meant. Celian told her not to worry about such small matters. He was just getting rid of a guy who saw sister in a disheveled state. The heroine felt a chill run through her heart. Although she knew Celian always treated human life like grass, she had to smile and ask if he could spare him. Celian's tone was cold. He asked if sister was pleading for him. This murderous aura, would he get rid of her next? She turned and said if he yielded, there would be a reward. Celian took the bait as expected, asking what the reward was. No need to guess, he wanted to continue. The heroine called his name, saying the reward was a nickname. Celian prepared food for her. He asked Amelia if she wanted to eat later. The heroine had already started wolfing it down. This taste, it was so moving she wanted to cry. Meanwhile, Celian looked like a model while eating. Time was a bit tight. He prepared clothes for the heroine. Wearing this, she finally felt like things were normal. Just as she wanted to say goodbye, Celian reminded her of the nickname. The heroine called it out, somewhat embarrassed. Looking at his outfit, the heroine was still a bit unaccustomed. It felt different from yesterday. He explained that yesterday was his brother's death anniversary, so he might have looked different from usual. The heroine thought, as expected. The heroine said she was so tired and wanted to go home to rest for a few days, to find a place to recuperate. She thought to herself that he definitely shouldn't look for her then. She said she felt terrible. Could she leave now? Celian said yes. He picked her up and left directly, saying he would send her home safely. Getting into the carriage, Celian asked where the heroine's home was. She looked left and right. Celian didn't know yet that she was the Earl's daughter. She could buy some time to escape. She said go straight ahead. Surprisingly, they arrived at a vegetable patch. She said she remembered wrong. It was to the left of the road. Unexpectedly, it was an abandoned factory. After this happened 5 times, the heroine was feeling incredibly guilty. Celian asked speculatively, "Did sister make up these ridiculous places just to go back to the Child Duke's mansion with me? Why didn't she say so earlier?" He ordered the carriage back to the Child Duke's mansion. Celian said there was no one at his home. If sister was willing, she could sleep over for a night before leaving. His room was very big. The heroine was baffled. What was with that face full of expectation? Whether his room was big or not had nothing to do with her. In the original work, Celian only took the position of Duke because of Vanessa's help. He probably had psychological trauma, so before meeting the female lead, he had always been allergic to women. But his behavior now was very strange. Unknowingly, the carriage jolted, and the heroine was pressed against Celian. Just as she tried to move away, Celian pressed her back. He said it was fine to lean on him. The heroine felt it was quite nice. She didn't expect his thighs to be so firm and comfortable, so she couldn't help but rub against them. Celian blushed and said there was still some time before reaching the Duke's mansion. Since it was his carriage, they could do anything inside. Hearing this, the heroine sat straight up. Was it really okay for her to go to the Duke's house like this? Walking from the main gate to here took most of the day. She had originally planned to sneak away at night. This place was just too big. Celian also expressed his hope that the heroine could stay forever. He took the heroine on a tour of his home. The servants nearby were stunned. Their master had never been like this. Whenever the heroine tried to escape, Celian would grab her. He told the heroine to sit for a while. He would finish his official duties very quickly. A group of people lined up to report on the day's work. The heroine watched, dizzy. Did he work by the second? His work ended. He pulled the heroine up and said she would stay in his room for the next few days. After all, Sister had pulled him into a room before. Now it was his turn. He also said there were no other rooms. Looking at the many rooms, the heroine was a bit skeptical. The servant said those rooms were all in use. There were no spare rooms. Just like that, the heroine finished touring the mansion at light speed. A grand dinner. Celian hoped the heroine could stay forever. During an evening walk, the heroine said she was a bit hot and wanted to wash up and sleep. Celian blushed slightly and gave the order. The heroine exuded confident charm, asking if he would wait obediently in the room for her. The hot water was ready. The heroine sent the maids away and quickly changed clothes. The bathroom was on the first floor. She was going to escape. Before leaving, she left a letter for Celian. She hoped it was goodbye forever, the soon-to-be-destroyed rich male lead. A servant came to report that the young lady could not be found. She had run away. It had been a week since the incident. He received the letter the heroine left. The letter said she hoped he would find true love. That day, it was clearly the heroine who tackled him. She personally said she wanted to hear him call her sister. Celian was a bit angry. They were clearly about the same age. The heroine lay down, seducing him. But actually, she probably didn't know. They had already met 10 years ago. 10 years ago, a subordinate said the afternoon succession lesson would be held at the Child Bank headquarters with the bank president. In the evening, attend a banquet at the Earl of Mainz's house. Child Bank Central Headquarters. The heroine's family was facing countless debts. At this time, Amelia was only 14 years old. Celian walked past here. He noticed the heroine's family. The subordinate explained it was the Diane Earl's family. Because they acted as guarantors for someone, they mortgaged the family fortune and the land granted by His Majesty the Emperor to the bank. Although facing huge debts, their family was very united and warm. This was what young Celian craved the most. But at that time, he didn't understand what that burning emotion in his heart was, until the two met again. A few days before that accidental night, he was calculating the additional funds from the royal family. That was the Diane Earl's family. Due to debt issues, they had been banned from entering the palace long ago. The three of them still made a very warm picture. She had grown up a lot compared to his impression. After meeting her again, he finally understood. That emotion he didn't understand as a child was envy and jealousy. So in that shabby tavern, when she was completely drunk, that night when he had resolved to jump off a cliff, he still couldn't refuse the hand reached out to him. Or rather, he wanted to hold onto her tightly. But he didn't expect she would take him directly to a hotel. Although he was very happy afterward. He originally thought her running away was a joke, but he didn't expect it to be true. Now he missed her so much. Since he couldn't let go, he planned to go find her directly. He called Harold and asked about the heroine situation. Harold said her health seemed not very good. Celian was very agitated upon hearing this. Why didn't he say so earlier? He would go to the Diane Earl's residence tomorrow, bring the things she likes, and prepare a piece of clothing that is easy to take off. The heroine was sick at home. Because she had no money, she didn't go to the hospital, although she used her secret stash to see an unreliable doctor. Feeling that the house was very noisy, she planned to go down and take a look. It turned out to be people posting seizure notices. The heroine went to her parents. Fortunately, they were fine. The heroine asked them to wait a moment. As far as she knew, when Child Bank lent money to nobles, considering the titles and honors bestowed by the emperor, they would not enforce seizure. Even if a noble fell, they were still a noble, as long as their heirs seized the opportunity to enter politics or hold a high position. They could restore the family's glory. That was why there was a privilege of exemption from seizure. But the Diane Earl's only heir was her. On her desk were the loan and joint guarantee documents from Child Bank, as well as various recruitment newspapers. Besides, the Diane Earl and Countess had always warmed her with their love after she transmigrated. So, she had to take responsibility. She said she would work to earn money and pay off the debt bit by bit. She would start paying in a month. The debt collector was somewhat dissatisfied, really troublesome. Where did this annoying pest come from? He stuck the seizure notice on the heroine and told her to get the paperwork ready. He wanted to see how capable the heroine was. The group left. The heroine was very angry. They actually stuck the mortgage notice on her body. Her father fell into deep self-blame. It was all his fault for recklessly acting as a guarantor and implicating her. In a knight order where only top knights could serve as commander, her father was the youngest general knight commander in history. Such an amazing person valued faith like his life, but ended up being deceived and drowning in debt. Despite this, to be responsible to the end, he disregarded his status as an earl to sew eyes on a teddy bear's. Her mother, a former earl's daughter who once dominated the social circle, not only maintained her beauty, but even when father got into trouble, she stayed by his side without abandoning him. But this was precisely this couple's biggest problem. Although kind and warm, because they were born into noble families and had never suffered a bit, they had absolutely no life skills. When encountering problems, they only knew how to pray. Presumably, when she disappeared, they were also praying. The heroine asked them to sit down first and look at the living expenses to see if they could pay off some debt. But her parents looked at her with adoration, asking when she had studied economics. But right now, she felt really terrible. She told them if guests came, send them up to find her. She was going back to her room to rest now. Taking off the clothes with the seizure notice, the heroine collapsed directly onto the bed. Thinking she had finally avoided the ending of destruction, would she just die like this? Waking up again, the heroine surprisingly saw Celian. He even brought the heroine a glass of water. He told the heroine to rest well. Until she got better, he wouldn't leave. He glanced at the heroine and asked if she was seducing him. The heroine quickly wrapped herself up tightly. As for why she left, Celian had already covered for her lie. He said she ran away because she was afraid of infecting him with her cold. Saying this, he leaned close to the heroine's forehead. Concerned, he asked the heroine. Her forehead was still very hot. Was she very uncomfortable? The heroine shyly said he couldn't do this. Celian asked with a wrong face why he couldn't. This really made her unable to cope. He picked up the clothes the heroine had discarded, saying he had already called a doctor. Seeing the seizure notice on the clothes, his expression changed. He asked what this was about. Harold said he would investigate immediately. Celian was just about to say kill him when the time comes, but with the heroine's reminder, he said fire him. Celian also prepared comfortable clothes for the heroine. The heroine told him to turn his head. Then she started to get dressed. Soon the doctor arrived. It turned out to be the hospital director, Paul Remian. The heroine was shocked. She just had a cold. Why did so many people come? And after examining her, the doctor actually said it was very serious and she needed to rest in the best environment. Her parents were already planning to sell their own hair, if necessary, to raise money for her recuperation. But her illness wasn't that serious at all. Celian asked the doctor where would be suitable for recuperation. Paul cheerfully said the Child Duke's mansion. It had good environment and equipment. Celian stood up and said he was willing to take sister back. But as an earl's daughter, living in an outsider's house would surely be uncomfortable. He thought of a method. That is, they should date. This way she could move in legitimately. The heroine frowned, wanted to ask why she should do that. Without speaking, Celian threw the flowers away, saying sure enough, such tacky flowers wouldn't catch her eye. With a snap of his fingers, many chests were carried into the house. Inside were gold, silver, and treasures. He could give them directly to her. Seeing this, the heroine almost drooled. She came back to her senses, saying she wasn't just after his money. But she immediately contradicted herself. She had said before that she just liked money. Celian said she had no reason to refuse. After all, he was rich. Her father stepped forward upon hearing this, saying he didn't want her to go against her own wishes because of the debt. Celian Cillian told the Earl not to worry. After all, that night, it was his daughter who made the first move on him. The heroine originally wanted to stop him from speaking, but ended up blurting it out herself. Her father misunderstood immediately. Unable to argue, the heroine tried to pull Cillian up to talk to him alone. Unexpectedly, his clothes fell open. Everyone was stunned. Her parents were very gratified. Their daughter had grown up. The heroine couldn't explain herself even more now. With the sound of the door closing, everyone in the room left. Only the two remained. The heroine was very dissatisfied. She had clearly only touched him lightly. Cillian took off his clothes and asked if she wasn't satisfied. This was something he had meticulously prepared. Amelia was so dizzy she couldn't even look. He put on his clothes. Amelia asked him why he wanted to date her. He looked worried and said it was out of concern for her illness. It seemed very serious. Lately, she really had been feeling unwell. Amelia believed him a little, thinking she was already seriously ill. When he proposed the idea again, Amelia agreed. He was very happy and couldn't resist kissing her. Then he said, "This illness is also called a cold." Then he picked Amelia up and left the house. Although she was a bit angry, seeing Cillian's handsome face made her heart flutter again. She also noticed that the clothes he was wearing were easy to take off. Amelia told him not to do this next time. After all, with so many people watching, it wasn't okay even if it was just the two of them. Hearing this, Cillian didn't like being ordered around, but he accepted it quickly. His expression changed so fast that Amelia didn't have time to catch his mood. Amelia thought of a plan. Make him detest her so he would give up on her. She said she would stare at him constantly, by any means necessary, no matter what he was doing. Hearing this, Cillian was surprisingly happy. He even wanted to arrange an office desk for her when the time came. Cillian leaned in close to Amelia, mentioning her escape attempt, and demanded a reward. Speaking of that, Amelia pretended to be pitiful, saying she was afraid of infecting him with her illness. She promised to nurse her health back to normal. Cillian, having no choice, accepted this excuse and said he would try not to disturb her. Getting the answer she wanted, Amelia sighed in relief. Cillian was also happy seeing her smile. Actually, before he came to pick up Amelia, Harold had advised him to give the lady some private space. Love needs to be gradual. Cillian said he would tell her he loved her with super indifference. Harold was speechless and said he had a few suggestions. Thus, a brainwashing lecture on the push-and-pull technique began. If Amelia knew, she would definitely be extremely grateful to him. Thanks to him, 2 weeks after arriving, Amelia could move freely in and out of the Duke's house as if it were her own home. Moreover, Cillian didn't come to harass her, which made her very comfortable. Cillian felt completely powerless because Amelia hadn't chatted with him for a long time. Harold said this was a good thing. She seemed satisfied here. In a familiar environment, it's easy to open one's heart. Harold whispered some advice to him. Recently, Amelia had received many notes from Cillian. While she was doing anything, seeing him like this always gave her the illusion that she could change his future. They met by chance on the road. Cillian said he missed her very much. Amelia invited him in for a drink, wondering why he hadn't come before. Cillian felt wronged. She had told him not to disturb her. Amelia felt a bit embarrassed hearing this, saying she was joking before. Seeing Cillian blush, Amelia felt the urge to tease him, finding him incredibly amusing. Cillian said he had something to say. Amelia begged him not to. After all, such words would make her shy. He understood. Then he would say it in a different way. Seeing that he was about to take off his pants, Amelia quickly stopped him. Amelia didn't understand if he had misunderstood something, but Cillian looked innocent and said she liked it from the start. Actually, Amelia had to admit he was indeed handsome and had a great body. It was normal for her to be moved by beautiful things. Hearing Amelia call him handsome, Cillian was a bit insecure. He had never heard this before. Amelia was thrilled and began to detail every one of his good points. Cillian couldn't help but be happy hearing this and suggested she might as well enjoy him all to herself. Amelia turned her head and refused. She only appreciated beauty and never had that kind of thought. As a result, Cillian's face changed instantly. Actually, in the previous plot, he was also full of insecurity and sadness. Knowing his sore spot, Amelia had to say it was impossible not to have those thoughts. He was just very beautiful. Cillian was a bit disappointed, saying not everyone thought that way. Amelia didn't understand the social circle. Amelia told him to be confident. With his looks, he would be liked by many ladies in the social circle. Saying this, She pulled him to the mirror to let him look at himself. How could it be impossible? Celian said he didn't care what others thought. He only cared about what she thought. Then he kissed Amelia. She felt she had been tricked again. He should use his body less to speak in the future. Celian smiled and said he originally wanted to say he loved her. Amelia was a bit surprised and told him to take it slow. After all, they had just started dating. Celian asked for a specific time. Amelia said 10 years later. He still smiled and said, in 10 years, he would still be by her side. Amelia felt she was completely defeated again. It was late, and Amelia planned to go rest. Celian actually picked her up directly and walked straight to his room, throwing Amelia onto his bed. Celian didn't plan to let her sleep. He hadn't endured until now just to say one sentence. Love her. Amelia just wanted to look away. She noticed his room was very empty. Just as she wanted to put away her sympathy, Celian caught it. He accepted her sympathy. He wanted all of Amelia, and he had never failed to get what he wanted. Amelia thought, even though he wanted to pounce on her right now, he was still waiting for her consent. What cute guy. But no matter how charming he was, once she lost the initiative, she would likely be led by the nose in the future. Amelia still pushed him away, looking at the clothes on the table. She said she wanted to change into pajamas. Celian turned around. Amelia changed quickly. Now, what he wanted most was her. Looking at Amelia, Celian couldn't stay calm and pounced directly. Before Amelia could finish stating the rules, he kissed her. He wanted to continue. Without getting Amelia's consent, she proposed that he follow the rules. She said he could act after she counted to 3. Celian, left hanging by Amelia, finally admitted defeat and agreed. Actually, Amelia's own heart was about to explode. Amelia told him she wanted to create a tense atmosphere, so she would count to 3. Celian stated his request first. He wanted to kiss Amelia. Hearing this, she felt her face turn even redder. Amelia told him he must wait until she said 3 to execute. Who knew that when Amelia said 2, she dove straight under the covers, saying she was going to sleep. At this moment, a knock suddenly came from the door. It was said that Miss Claire was returning to the country. Amelia was shocked. Aside from Celian, the only one of the 6 children of the Child family to survive, Claire Child. Celian's expression became unpleasant. Claire was the illegitimate daughter of Duke Child and a maid. Because she inherited the prominent family genes of the Duke's house, she couldn't be discarded, so she was the eldest daughter raised in a secret place. Before that day, Celian didn't even know of her existence. The war for succession officially began. Shortly after that announcement, the eldest son died from a fall. Later, on Celian's 18th birthday, he was attacked by his trusted second brother, leaving that scar. The attack Celian suffered great emotional trauma. Rather than be killed, he gave up on himself and wanted to starve to death. But at this time, a woman appeared, saying she would help him for the sake of the Child family. He only had to promise not to kick her out after inheriting the dukedom, and she would solve everything for him. Immediately that night, 2 assassinations and 1 accidental death occurred. His father also died of a serious illness. Afterwards, Celian successfully ascended to the title. After becoming duke, the first thing he did was hold a joint funeral for his father and brothers. Only then did he realize that the person before him was actually his sister. Celian asked her what her goal was. She said she just wanted freedom. Although she felt sorry for Celian, it was because of that line that she loved Claire the most. Your feelings for her must be the opposite of hers. But he didn't abandon Claire. Instead, when needed, they would use each other. Thinking back, this man's past, even though he's the male lead, his background is too pitiful. Just as she asked when he got that scar, Celian started taking off his clothes. This scar was a gift from his late second brother for his 18th birthday. He probably wanted to give something even bigger than this. All in all, it was a very failed gift. Her expression was a bit pitying. Celian told her not to worry. As long as she was with him, it wouldn't hurt. Amelia was sweating a bit. She wasn't his heroine. No matter how you looked at it, this was getting closer and closer to a doomed ending. The next day, she planned to escape. Today was a good opportunity because Celian wasn't home due to a family meeting. Who knew the entrance was full of guards, and she would be watched if she went out. Her bag was full of things. It looked exactly like she wanted to escape, but she still had to argue, saying she just wanted to visit places she hadn't been to. The guard thought her idea was great. After all, she was going to be the future Duchess. It was practically a done deal. She ran away like the wind, climbing onto the wall. Nothing is more dangerous than the doomed male lead's ducal mansion. She accidentally slipped and was about to fall. There was no pain as imagined. Instead, a beautiful sister caught her. It was the person she loved most. Claire smiled, saying she was really funny. The knights were stunned when they came out. When asked who she was, Amelia just wanted to say she was passing by. But the knight truthfully said she was the Duke's future wife and was dating his grace. Claire said she seemed to know why the Duke wanted to marry her. After all, she was so pure and cute. She asked if she wanted to play with her. Although she was very tempted, right now she wanted to escape. Seeing Amelia hesitate, the sister's expression instantly turned cold. This allowed no refusal. The child residence annex. The sister had just returned from the Trejo Empire across the sea. She liked traveling and that feeling of freedom. This was tea blended in the most famous shop in the Trejo Empire. After drinking it, the taste was indeed very good. The black tea actually had the scent of strawberries. Claire was also happy seeing she liked it. She quite liked having a younger sister at home. Although she didn't know why, she seemed to be very liked by her. Amelia thought maybe she could use this. Celian disliked Claire, who had used him and brought him infamy. The sister felt this was all what he should bear. The two couldn't stand each other. That meant if she got close to Claire, Celian would definitely hate her. Then she could leave. The sister showed her the most popular dress in the city of passion, Madridian, called the translucent dress. She tried it on and came out feeling a bit shy. Claire also said it looked very good. Unexpectedly, Celian arrived at this moment. He ran out immediately. Amelia thought he was angry. After all, she was so close to Claire now. Amelia wanted to go talk to Celian. The sister agreed and told her to come again next time. Amelia found Celian. He was sitting dejectedly by the window. She went over to hug him and comfort him, but Celian didn't speak for a long time. He just asked Amelia to kiss him. When he looked up, he didn't look angry at all. Only then did she realize she had been overthinking. He explained to Amelia that he didn't like Claire, but seeing them playing happily, he was relieved. Running all the way here, her feet were a bit hurt. Celian was a bit dissatisfied with her clothes. Amelia said no, this was a gift from the sister. Even if it was torn, she couldn't throw it away. He said he also bought her many gifts. He said he didn't know what she liked, so he bought them all. But Amelia didn't understand. Didn't she look good in this dress? Celian looked a bit shy. He felt the current Amelia was simply too sexy. Then he couldn't resist kissing her. When he pulled away, she unknowingly grabbed his collar. Celian was a bit sad. Why did she resist him so much? But Amelia couldn't say. Who knew he would look up and say, was the experience of the first night too bad? Amelia retorted speechlessly, asking if he couldn't be a bit more confident. After saying it, she regretted it. Celian draped clothes over her, picked her up, and planned to take her back to the room. He put Amelia back on the bed and interlaced his fingers with hers, asking if that was what she meant. Since she wanted a more defined relationship, he would have a jeweler come tomorrow to let her choose an engagement ring. Amelia was instantly stunned, thinking she must be dreaming. Waking up the next morning, she still couldn't deceive herself. He even specifically emphasized it in the morning, telling her to choose the ring carefully. There were many gifts for her to choose from. It looked like he emptied the store. There was even the most popular lingerie brand in the capital. Those clothes looked a bit suspicious. She was exhausted just opening gifts. The sister was beside her saying she was cute, making her very embarrassed. And what was bound to come came. The dazzling array of rings dazzled her eyes. None of the rings had gems. It turned out his grace wasn't satisfied with small gems. Claire said they had to use that rare aerate crystal. Starting a few weeks ago, the news that the Child family was buying aerate crystals at a high price had spread across the continent. He didn't buy it for his own use. And even without aerate, he was still a super strong male lead. In the plot setting of this novel, the core part is aerate. Simply put, it's a superpower and super expensive. For people with strong and urgent desires, obtaining an aerate crystal grants the owner the ability to realize their wish. For example, someone falling into water and about to drown could gain the ability to breathe underwater. And because it is a gem bestowed by God, there are some additional conditions. Even if one can obtain many crystals, one can only obtain one aerate in a lifetime. If Celian really used aerate to make an engagement ring, unless he agreed, she would have to wear that ring forever. Since that was the case, she would choose a cut that was very difficult to process, preferably one that would cause the aerate crystal to shatter. Someone actually recommended it to her. The standard round brilliant cut has a relatively high failure rate. Amelia planned to choose this one. She could only silently beg that uncle to please make some flaws. She suddenly understood why His Grace was in such a hurry to make the engagement ring before the autumn harvest banquet. He probably wanted to hold the engagement ceremony immediately after the autumn harvest banquet ended. It felt like he couldn't have any distracting activities before the autumn harvest banquet hosted by the emperor. Speaking of which, if it weren't for the banquet, maybe he would have held the engagement ceremony immediately. There was 1 month left until the autumn harvest banquet. 1 week later, the ring craftsman responsible for the engagement ring suddenly visited. Amelia was very happy hearing this. There must have been a problem. He came to tell Amelia to prepare herself. He opened it and said this was his most successful first attempt, a perfect work created through sleepless nights and forgetting to eat. Look at this brilliant radiance. She was very disappointed. She closed it, not planning to try it on, saying she wanted to save it for the engagement ceremony. Unexpectedly, Celian came over at this time. He insisted on putting it on Amelia to try. It's over. This feeling was the irresistible irate. Celian just hoped she liked it. Amelia felt very embarrassed. So many people were watching. Moreover, ever since putting it on, she could actually hear Celian's inner thoughts. But she couldn't hear them once she let go. She wanted to know his thoughts, so she held his hand. She heard his inner thought of wanting to kiss her. But in the end, he didn't because he was worried she would dislike the behavior. Amelia felt it was incredible. Now, compared to this, she had to properly confirm her irate. She called a maid over to help comb her hair. She could indeed hear the maid's thoughts. Touching any part allowed her to hear. After fixing her hair, the Grand Duke asked if she was satisfied with the ring. He had even asked the craftsman to speed up the progress. Amelia expressed that she liked it very much. The Duke wanted a kiss. Amelia satisfied him. She could feel that Celian was treating her sincerely. It wasn't a momentary impulse. In the novel, he had an official partner. She tried hard not to take it seriously, but the person before her felt very vivid. Hearing Celian's inner thoughts so nakedly, she had to admit he was sincere. She asked the Duke to help take off the ring. He went silent. She explained it was for a surprise later. Only then did he agree. It was very late. She planned to go back to her room to rest. The Duke acted coquettishly towards her, wanting to sleep with her, saying he would just hold her hand. Coming to the bedside, he wanted her to sit there so he could help her take the ring off. Just taking off her ring, wasn't this posture a bit too suggestive? But to get it off, she endured it. He was now looking forward to the autumn harvest banquet. But the Celian in the novel hated all kinds of banquets, because people he disliked gathered there. He said he was looking forward to going with her, but worried she would be snatched away. He wanted to make their relationship public as soon as possible and make Amelia feel that he had changed. Although she didn't know which aspect of her changed this person, the current Celian wasn't as cruel or ruthless as described in the novel. She didn't need to push him away. Even if the heroine appeared, the Celian from the original work was already different. Celian actually asked her, didn't she dislike banquets before? Was it okay like this? Amelia was a bit suspicious. Was that her setting before? She remembered the diary wrote that at the coming-of-age ball, for which the Earl and Countess Diane sold all their gold to fund, she tragically rolled down the stairs. She wanted to use this as an excuse, saying it should be fine with him. Celian told Amelia she must trust him. Starting tomorrow, he would personally prepare the banquet to grandly introduce his fiancée. Celian really went to great lengths to prepare for the banquet, and the banquet was already close at hand, although it was a sudden walk recommended by the servants. The red wine drunk in the rose garden, filled with sunset glow, was the best. After returning, she found the Duke practicing dance steps with Harold. Amelia didn't quite understand. Superb dancing skills should be a necessary accomplishment for a male lead. Seeing him a bit worried, she actively recommended herself to practice with him. She had already practiced with Claire, who dominated the social circle. Celian really had no talent for leading. She was quite curious about what the Duke's leading looked like. At this moment, Steward Harold had disappeared somewhere. Suddenly, he leaned close to her, saying if she wasn't looking forward to his leading, then let her feel it. If his waltz leading was terrible, then he would lead something else. Amelia had no reason to refuse such a handsome man. Before starting, he prepared a candy from the drawer. That was a contraceptive candy that was 100% effective as long as one person ate it, regardless of gender. The night was very dark. After waking up, she realized she was someone who couldn't resist temptation. Although the current Celian seemed like he wouldn't be doomed for the time being, she didn't want to be his parasite either. While she was lost in thought, the Duke also stood up and asked what she was thinking. He actually suspected she was thinking about children. He felt that if the child looked like her, it would be very cute. It was just a bit too early. The heroine was quite speechless. They weren't even engaged yet. He wanted to keep her by his side. Even if she approached him for his money, it didn't matter, because he was very rich. Even if she approached him for money, she shouldn't think of being satisfied with just his body and face. He had already read about the issue of children in books. If she didn't agree, they didn't have to have children. He had even prepared Kabiko's tea, a magic tea that guarantees 100% contraception with just one drop. Although he was a bit nagging, he was confident he could be a good father. In the original story, Celian had psychological trauma because of his father and worried that his evil deeds would be passed down through the generations. That was why he said he didn't want children. Amelia asked him if he really, truly didn't mind. Actually, he was also worried he would be cold and heartless to the child like his father. But if it was a child she gave birth to, it would be different. Even if she didn't want children, him monopolizing her wasn't bad either. The heroine was very touched. How could she let go of such a man? She had made up her mind. Even if Celian fell in love with Vanessa later and left her, she would love him now. Even if, when that time comes, she is left alone and heartbroken there. He was the first person the heroine hugged. Celian was very smug. Finally, the day of the autumn harvest banquet arrived. Today, Claire was exceptionally beautiful, worthy of being the belle of the social circle. Her favorite character. She stared blankly from the side, mesmerized by her sister's beauty. She also felt a bit lost. Claire had ended her travels for the autumn harvest banquet. She wondered if her sister would leave again after the banquet ended. Claire thought her expression was really cute. However, she said she would attend her engagement ceremony. This made the heroine very happy. She loved hanging out with her sister the most. The Grand Duke stood at the door, asking what they were doing. The meeting between the two was very stiff. The heroine pulled the Duke aside and asked him to look if she looked good. He shyly said she looked good. Having finally diverted their attention, the Duke and the sister still made eye contact. He asked Claire what she thought. Claire glanced at the maid beside her. She described the highlights of Amelia's outfit in detail. The maid spoke logically and eloquently. The two looked at each other, unable to refute. The facts were indeed so. Their external commentary was really unbearable for the heroine. She was really wrong. When did these two become so in sync? They finally set off. She was already exhausted and also a bit nervous. The social circle is a battlefield for waltzes. Going just like that, she would definitely be bitten to pieces. Her sister taught her, just like the flower petals on her dress. If she showed mercy because something was small and pretty, it would naturally climb all over her. If someone looked down on or slighted her, avoidance wouldn't solve the problem. Stomp on him. Make him never dare to approach her again. Anyway, the child family is behind her to clean up the mess. The heroine just felt it was scary, but she actually put Claire's advice into practice. Thinking of entering the palace felt like activating a time bomb. First bomb, keeping a poker face in front of other nobles attending the banquet. Behind their backs, they would definitely gossip about Celian. Second bomb, Crown Prince Bellerophon, abbreviated as Bellerod. In the original story, he was the fuse that caused Celian to start the war. Bellerod's mother was the emperor's favorite first empress. She died shortly after Bellerod was born. She was from the child family and was also Celian's aunt. Being relatives, Bellerod and Celian got along well since childhood. But after the empress died, the emperor indulged in women and ignored politics. Bellerod became a puppet crown prince. Thus, Bellerod planned the event that caused Celian's ultimate shift. When inviting everyone to a birthday party, he deliberately wrote a letter sending the Duke elsewhere and brought people to mock him in front of the Duke. Celian realized then that people only valued his wealth. Those people only cared about his money. Celian gave up his last hope for others and decided to walk the path of destruction. He used his massive capital to start a war that swallowed the world. The heroine asked the Duke if the crown prince would attend this banquet. Luckily, he said no. Hearing it was to reduce her stress, the Duke was very happy. In the future, at events the child family attends, the crown prince can never be seen. The heroine worriedly instructed him that this world needs love and peace. People shouldn't start wars or anything like that in this beautiful world. Her sister said that while peace is good, they have to go to the battlefield now. They finally arrived at the palace. The heroine was introduced to everyone. This is his fiancée, Count Diane's daughter. The people around were quite kind. The Duke had business to discuss. The heroine told him he could go ahead. Her sister was with her. She sat over by the fountain. The orchestra put in effort today. The violin was especially good. She deliberately averted her gaze, probably because the surrounding gazes were unfriendly, saying she was sold off and other vicious words. Soon the Duke returned. Her sister left. The heroine pulled him to dance a waltz. Celian saw through her immediately. She wanted to show off to those young ladies how much he loved her. This made her a bit embarrassed. Without needing guidance, he danced very well this time. The Duke said, with such a good hand of cards like him, is this the only way she would use it? The best way to cut rumors is to show everyone how much they love each other. Just like that, in public, they kissed passionately. It made others embarrassed to watch. The image of Celian in those people's minds must have been completely overturned. Without waiting for the Duke to say the words, "I love you," the heroine stood on tiptoes and kissed him. The show was over. The heroine asked Celian to get her some red wine. After he left, she sat on the ground. That guy kissed too. The crowd dispersed. She suddenly felt a gaze. Someone was staring right at her and wearing an evil smile. She ran immediately. Now a crazy person was following her, wearing women's clothes, but with a man's voice. She ran to a fountain, seeing the person reaching out to grab her. She is, after all, the daughter of the legendary knight commander. So she attacked his groin. He rolled on the ground in pain. His wig fell off. That person was actually the crown prince. The Duke got 2 glasses of red wine at the banquet, planning to show his value. But after he went out, he noticed her panic. He threw away the water in his hand. Seeing her anxiety, Celian hugged her, told her not to worry. Rebuilding an empire doesn't cost much money. Discovering the crown prince was injured, soldiers swarmed up. The crown prince pointed at Vanessa. She was the one who kicked his... The Duke blocked in front of her, said he would take responsibility for this. The Duke also put a ring on her. To avoid starting a war, she thought it best to call a doctor for the crown prince first. This couldn't be blamed on her, who told him to dress as a woman and scare people. Miss Claire walked over. She suggested it was better to treat him quickly. The person vanished before their eyes. So that was the power of the air-rate crystal on the earring. Claire desired freedom, so her air-rate granted her teleportation. Knights wanted to take her away. The Duke told her not to worry. He would solve it. The Emperor was enjoying himself. An attendant walked over and said Duke Child requested an audience. He had heard about his beloved woman and the crown prince. Don't worry, just pretend it didn't happen. The Duke corrected him. Fiancé, not beloved woman. The Emperor was shocked. The Duke revoked the privilege of equal punishment regarding crimes against royalty, leaving Amelia at home for investigation. The Duke smiled and said the noble faction need not worry. His Majesty just needs to propose a law amendment. The Duke held the Emperor's weakness, so he had to compromise. On the heroine's side, the maids didn't mistreat her at all. She was living quite comfortably now, although she had only been there for 3 hours. The Duke came to take her back, but the heroine couldn't go back with him. The rejected Duke was shocked. The butler said that during the investigation, a guardian must take her to their residence. So they sent people to the Diane Count's estate. He wasn't her legal family yet, so he thought about getting married quickly. The heroine's father also came to pick her up. Father thought that damn crown prince actually dared to dress as a woman and threaten his cute daughter. Even Duke Child isn't good enough for his daughter. And seeing the ring on her hand, Father was in even more disbelief. That guy who has everything actually dared to put an engagement ring on his daughter without asking him. Father sought Harold for a private talk. Turns out they had already contacted them. Just sent it to the wife. She had already replied on his behalf. Harold still clearly remembered the reflection letter Sir Diane wrote when he was knight commander. When his daughter was born, he gave 128 knights leave passes. Watching the two argue endlessly, the heroine was a bit speechless. The Duke grabbed her arm, said he didn't know how to survive the next month. The heroine comforted him, saying they could do long-distance dating. Occasional dates also made the Duke very happy. He thought about digging a lake at the Duke's mansion, although it felt like trouble was provoked. After much trouble, she returned to the Diane residence. It had been a week. She looked a bit tired. Mother concernedly asked about her condition. Father, hearing she was tired, had a bad impression of the Duke. Mother advised him not to care so much. They were similar when they first met. Hearing the two's romantic history, the heroine didn't expect Mother was the one who made the first move. Anyway, These two seem to be settling down. To save the Diane family, she still needs to find a job quickly. The Duke looked into the distance. At this rate, it would be done when Amelia returns. Amelia Lake. If not for that damn Bellerod dressing as a woman. He and his sister thought in sync, blame Bellerod. The heroine used the invisibility magic cloak to arrive undetected. To turn things around, stocks are the way. She needs a flexible job. Hayer Times is a mid-sized newspaper unrelated to Child. If the column submission is good, the bonus should be generous. She came for an interview. She didn't expect this man, the one who put seizure stickers on her house. Heard he was laid off. Didn't expect him to be re-employed at the newspaper. His attitude towards Amelia wasn't good. Gave her a test, mouth full of disdain. She had learned all this before. Writing was easy. The person beside couldn't believe she could write. Amelia said the question needs to be set properly. Investment requires financial statements to know the company's fiscal status. She felt deciding investment projects on just this info is no different from gambling. The heroine wanted to confirm with him, who knew he tried to slap her. Luckily, she reacted fast, subdued him directly. The heroine felt he was weird. She didn't scold him. Why hit her? Turns out he set the questions. The president walked over, saw everything, asked how he could treat a guest like that. He smiled and said, "You're fired." The man was angry. He said the president would regret it. The president wasn't afraid of fighting. He had muscles. Knowing he couldn't win, he left. He apologized to Amelia. He is Albert, president of Hayer Times. The heroine replied politely. She is Annie Smith. Honored to meet him. He looked at the answer sheet, found her analysis thorough. Invited her to be a columnist at Hayer Times. The heroine was happy. On the way back, she was still happy. Result better than expected. Not piece rate, but salary plus bonus like a regular employee. Suddenly someone grabbed her wrist, said he wasn't a weird person, wanted to take her away. Looked like the crown prince. She tried to run, couldn't. They went to a dessert shop. He asked Amelia why she engaged the Duke. Suspected she approached Duke Child to threaten the royal family. The heroine was angry. He judged her engagement as utilization. The heroine coldly said the Duke has feelings too. She engaged him because she loves him. She stood up, didn't notice the Duke was next door to observe the crown prince. Surprised to meet her. Even more surprised to hear those words. Back home, he couldn't stand it. He had to go see her. Came to the mansion at night. If Amelia invited him for tea, he wouldn't refuse. He saw Amelia at the window, happily greeted her. Unexpectedly, she walked away coldly. The Duke was disappointed and about to leave. Unexpectedly, Amelia ran down. It was late. She wasn't asleep yet. Hearing the heroine ran down for him, the Duke cried with emotion. She said that historic line downstairs. Have a cup of tea before you go. The Duke came up. He climbed a ladder. Said he was cold. The heroine exposed him immediately. He wasn't cold at all. His goal was obvious. Wanted to hug her, express his feelings. He likes her. Hearing such a confession, she was shy. He wouldn't do anything. Just a goodnight kiss. Suddenly a knock on the door. The ladder outside the window was discovered. Her parents barged in, holding a sword and a pot. Asked if she was okay. She pretended to just wake up. Said she was fine. No one entered. But the Duke's coat exposed him. Father was angry. Threw the sword at the door. The Duke came out directly, clutching his stomach. The heroine helped him up. The Duke admitted climbing the wall, and he took off his clothes himself. Father understood. Told them he supports her love. Won't be a stumbling block. Turned around, saying he's going to look at childhood photos. The Duke apologized disappointedly. The heroine asked if he was okay. He looked up happily, said they need to speed up the engagement. Then hugged her, said he wants to be family soon. Left early next morning. This time, it was her turn to visit the Child mansion. Her sister found a tailor. He was excited to see Amelia. Bowed directly. Made the heroine uncomfortable. He asked her to choose styles. She didn't know much. Picked a few fabrics. The heroine liked the blue one. The tailor took the chance to raise the price. She was angry upon realizing he didn't seem to get it, so she told him directly, "You're fired." The tailor was unconvinced. Thought she couldn't decide. Her sister added, "The future Duchess has full power." He thought as the Empire's best designer, only his dress fits Child style. Pity, she didn't care. Whoever Child chooses becomes the best. Finally, the tailor was kicked out. Her sister walked over happily, asked how she learned so fast. The heroine said her sister taught well. In a blink, it was engagement day, dressed beautifully by the head maid. The maids thought she was naturally pretty. Went for a walk. Saw the crown prince sneaking around. He stuffed an invitation inside, the one inviting only Celian to be a laughingstock. Seeing him leave, she rushed to get the letter out. Harold saw her. Thought she dropped something in the mailbox. but letters here go through pipes into the building. Royal letters go to the Duke immediately. The Crown Prince waited long. The Duke walked up, tore the letter in front of him, said he knew he was treated as a money tree. But talking about his fiancée crossed the line. The Crown Prince timidly said it was a joke. The Crown Prince threatened him. Don't approach or provoke her. Amelia arrived. The Crown Prince only worried about the royal budget. The Duke said he wouldn't starve his dog, told him to vanish before Amelia arrives. He walked to Amelia, asked to walk together, arrived at the lake. She was surprised, loved it. Lake named Amelia Lake. Seeing her like it, the Duke planned to build lakes named after future children. Amelia Lake will always be here. Whenever she comes to the Duke's mansion, she can see it. The heroine said she won't leave, wondered what he and the prince talked about. The Duke said considering getting a dog. She was happy, loves dogs, wants to walk and wash and kiss it. The Duke said he's allergic to dog hair, jealous of a dog. Twilight arrived. Final ceremony. Engaged under family witness. Moved into child mansion. Harold gave her sister an invitation for unmarried women in the capital. Her sister was angry, but Amelia was there, so she couldn't explode. Novel heroine Vanessa Maybrandt. Even without an invite, she'd attend. Loves parties. If she can meet Vanessa, Amelia wants to go with her sister. Her sister compromised hearing Amelia wants to go. Only the Duke left, although he still refused. But he couldn't resist the heroine's cuteness. She even said she'd show off her husband to the other ladies. He finally agreed. In the original work, she was the big boss of the mercenary group Aradist, hired by Celian, who tried to incite war. She brought him the destruction he desired. Of course, because she was the female lead, she became disillusioned with Aradist during that process, quit the Corps, and ended up with Celian. Regardless, she is now engaged to Celian, breaking the original setting. But it was still necessary for her to meet her. Her sister had to go find someone else. She remained where she was, and a young lady walked over. The woman's tone wasn't very friendly, and she even urged her to have children. She was somewhat dissatisfied. Although by this world's standards, marriage was a bit late, she was still only 23. Suddenly, she understood. The girl in front of her had a secret crush on the Duke. So, she calmly asked if she wanted to chat about their first night. Instantly, the young lady's faces turned red. Actually, she had been dead drunk, tackled Celian, and then blacked out. But she still brazened it out and kept talking. As she was speaking, she actually saw Vanessa, so she felt the urge to turn and chase after her. Just then, her sister returned. She entrusted the rest of the story to her for now. She seemed to have seen someone she knew and had to go over there first. As for the rest of the story, seeing the girl's expectant gazes, how would she know what happened next? She finally caught up. Vanessa turned around, but her eyes weren't blue, they were brown. She said her name was Elena. She greeted her politely and asked what was the matter. She felt it was very strange. That necklace was clearly Vanessa's Artai, the necklace of Harmonia. So she asked where she bought her necklace. The girl suddenly spoke up, saying, "Don't you even know the necklace of Harmonia?" It made sense, since she hadn't been to the palace in so long. That was a royal treasure actually appearing on her person. Vanessa said she had received a summons from the emperor. It seemed she asked something she shouldn't have. But was the emperor crazy? What a pervert. Suddenly, the lights all around went out. The knights were arranged in the banquet hall. Here, there were only suits of knight armor on display. The self-defense swordsmanship she learned from her father should buy them some time. She told Miss Gretchel to find a place to hide. Sure enough, an assassin approached. She blocked the sword directly. She could also read minds. That person was looking for Vanessa. Miss Gretchel was already scared out of her wits. The heroine hadn't said she would protect her, so she was terrified. She gave her one chance to apologize. So she apologized loudly, begging her to protect her. Having gone this far, she probably wouldn't pick on her anymore. She can now act with peace of mind. The heroine used a feint to distract him, then stomped hard on his foot. Then she threw the man directly onto the ground. Her father was, after all, the legendary former commander of the Knights, First Diane. Beating them was still quite simple. The man in black saw this, realized he couldn't win, and ran away immediately. The lights finally came back on. The The two girls beside her admired her greatly. Miss Gretchel even wanted to call her big sister, but she refused. Vanessa also thanked her privately, but suddenly she discovered that her necklace was missing. The three of them were surrounded by soldiers. As suspects in the theft of the Harmonia necklace, the three of them were now under emergency arrest. She didn't expect to end up in the palace prison a second time. At the cell door, it seemed all suspicious persons had been rounded up and brought in. Suddenly, she saw blonde hair and blue eyes. So, she pulled the cell door open. She said she felt guilty enjoying such treatment alone. She pulled the girl in, saying that now it was a double room. Her name was Vanessa. The heroine hadn't found the wrong person after all. They entered the room. As soon as she opened her mouth, she really scared the heroine. A rough voice, completely different from her novel description. She even told her to bring the food over. She spat first, then rudely tugged at her collar. The novel heroine in her mind collapsed with a crash. She put her hand on Vanessa's shoulder and asked what she was doing. She heard her inner thoughts. She had originally come to steal the necklace. But because Amy messed things up, she could only do this for the month. Her plan was ruined. Without the necklace, she had no way to seduce rich, handsome men. While she was listening, Vanessa shook off her arm. She suddenly noticed Amy's ring and recognized the child family crest carved on it. She thought to herself that the woman in front of her was a winner who had turned her life around. She finally noticed. Then she let go of her hand. She even used a blade to directly cut off the part of her hair that had been spat on. But she hadn't even said she wanted it cut. Since her necklace was gone, she was thinking of sucking up to her. Facing Vanessa's attempt to curry favor, she showed disdain. She was only caught for guarding the necklace. Once the misunderstanding was cleared, she could leave. Vanessa looked displeased. She understood that her failure was all because of her. To think she actually fought Eridas personally, she must have considerable strength. She was thinking of defecting to her. Amy was a bit speechless at this fox-like novel heroine. At this moment, the Duke actually arrived and asked if she was okay. She threw herself directly at him, feeling aggrieved in her heart. Fortunately, she hadn't given the perfect male lead to a novel heroine with such trashy character. She declared she wouldn't give him up to anyone. But no matter how annoying Vanessa was, she couldn't let the original heroine die at the hands of the original male lead. The Duke went to the cell where Amy had been staying. At this time, Vanessa was drinking tea. She felt her opportunity had come. Although he was taken, an engagement relationship was more fragile than glass. But the Duke's gaze was on the hair on the floor. She hurriedly covered the hair, while wondering in her heart why the man wasn't captivated by her beauty. The Duke simply turned around and ordered his attendants to investigate this woman thoroughly, not sparing even her bones. Vanessa was shocked when she heard this. Putting on an act, he saw through it clearly. Before leaving, he warned her not to even think about provoking his fiancée. Vanessa was somewhat ashamed. Without her knowing it, the original male and female leads had already had the worst possible first encounter. Although she came out to cooperate with the investigation into the missing Harmonia necklace, she had also finally completed her first column. She had just arrived happily at the shop, not expecting it to be in such chaos. The manager found her and asked if the draft was ready. It turned out the shop was so busy because they had just broken the exclusive news that the royal treasure, the necklace of Harmonia, had been stolen not long ago. The truth the royal family wanted to cover up was exposed by an anonymous informant who attended the party. The president couldn't find anyone to provide testimony regarding the necklace incident, no matter how hard he looked. As he said, extra money. It was written that even if the president had to sell all his shares, he would pay a huge reward. The heroine was instantly tempted. With that money, her family's debts might all be paid off. It seemed she needed to think of a way to get the reward without revealing her identity. The investigator began to question her about the Harmonia necklace. The reason they were making such a fuss was that the Harmonia necklace was a token of alliance with Coltman. In the original novel, they were the northern warrior race that served as Celian support and destroyed the Empire. Good heavens, it wasn't just difficulty after difficulty, but destruction after destruction. Count Gager came over and asked about the investigation. He stared at the heroine, analyzing that her family was poor and that there was a high probability she stole the necklace. He started slandering her without evidence, making her feel very aggrieved. Count Gager continued to provoke her, telling her to prove herself by finding the culprit. She was very angry upon hearing this, treating her as a criminal, using the child family to find the culprit or clean up the mess, when it was clearly caused by the emperor himself. He told the heroine to remember that noble privileges only exist as long as the empire exists. The investigator, however, was quite friendly, and she wanted to ask him a favor. The investigator returned after finishing his work. She wanted to find a place to sit and saw the three of them. Miss Gretchel was suspected simply for being close by. The heroine knew she was wronged. Now they were desperate to find a scapegoat. When she read her mind, she heard that her first concern was actually her own younger brothers and sisters. At a time like this, they had to unite, and she needed to have a private chat with Vanessa. Closing the door, the heroine asked her if she knew about Artai. She said she had heard of it. The heroine said she had an Artai crystal set in her engagement ring, which allowed her to hear inner thoughts when touching someone. Now that she was familiar with it, she could also read minds through objects or weapons. She knew all of Vanessa's inner thoughts. She even knew she was thinking about seducing the Duke. So she said directly that with her around, she would absolutely not succeed. Vanessa looked surprised. Mental abilities seemed to be very rare. As for her stealing the necklace, she knew about that too. Moreover, she was currently planning something dangerous and needed a bodyguard. Hearing this, Vanessa was already willing to do anything for her. The bodyguard matter would also be kept secret. She decided to latch onto this wealthy patron from now on. The heroine planned to take her to the Duke's residence. After that, she would be her bodyguard. The carriage was arriving soon. She stated she would definitely complete the mission. The Duke had already arrived outside. From the palace to the Diane Earl's residence and the Child Duke's residence. Even though her home was closer, the fact that she called him to come already made him very happy. The heroine had been waiting for him for a long time, so she pulled him directly inside, saying she had some things to discuss with him alone. The Duke thought she wanted to talk about the wedding, family planning, or the honeymoon, but his wishes were destined to fall through. Amy wanted a bodyguard, who was right outside the door. He looked out and saw it was actually Vanessa. He looked displeased. He would always remember the shameless act of cutting off her hair. In his heart, he was already secretly plotting to quietly dispose of her. The heroine defended her, saying Vanessa was a bit free-spirited, but her strength was truly impressive. The Duke, however, didn't speak. The two sat down to talk in detail. Regarding the lost necklace, she wanted to uncover the truth. Moreover, if she didn't do it herself, innocent young ladies might be implicated. She also confessed that wearing the ring had endowed her with the Artai superpower. She could know what someone was thinking just by touching them. Hearing this, the Duke felt a bit embarrassed. After all, his previous unsavory thoughts had probably been known too. Seeing the Duke already looking very embarrassed, the heroine comforted him, saying it didn't matter. The important thing now was that she could distinguish the real culprit through physical contact.